Okay, so in this session, we want to see that how I. Richards is discussing some of the poems as a part of his practical criticism. In the previous session, we have seen that he's talking about four kinds of misunderstanding. When we want to understand figurative language, or what we call it metaphorical language, or the language of poetry, then there are chances that we may have four types of misunderstanding. Very quickly to remind for this part, what are those four types of misunderstanding? First, a misunderstanding of the sense of poetry, which may happen because of careless or intuitive reading. Second, over literal reading, prosaic, too much of reading, textually narrow reading. But if it is prosaic, then also there is a problem. Third is defective scholarship. It may be on the part of poet also, who is not understanding the semantic fields properly, is not able to grasp the metaphors there. Then the readers may not visualize the image in a proper way, and so the sense of the poetry may not be understood. The defective scholarship on the part of poet can become obstacle for the reader to visualize it, or it can also be on the part of reader who is not able to comprehend the semantic fields, and then also it may happen. So lack of scholarship, defective means on the part of reader, lack of scholarship may also be a problem. And finally, if we do not have an understanding that there is a difference in the meaning of words in poetry and prose, then also the misunderstanding may occur. So on these grounds, we have to see which poems and how I. Richards is doing the analysis. Let me share the screen to study the first poem here. I'm sharing the screen, and I have given a kind of a reading material to you, so you can find it in that also. Okay? In that it will be this, or otherwise you can see the screen to study it. Okay. Okay, this is the poem. Okay. So here is the poem. Okay. Are you able to see the shared screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, now please speak. My sound was muted here. Still, I'm not getting your sound, I think. Here. Are you able to get the screen I'm sharing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine. In my mobile phone, I'm facing a problem in finding the screen. It is pinned up. Okay, yeah, now I got it. Yeah, fine. Okay. Okay, now this poem, okay, this poem, if we read, how do we make sense of this poem? Okay, now this is up to you. The poem is open to you, and you have to tell me after reading the poem what sense are you making of this poem. First, the major sense. Then you can move towards what kind of feelings are invoked. And then you can say what kind of images are telling you about that sense or that feeling. Hello. Yes, are you going through the poem?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, and let me know the sense. What are you getting from this poem? You have to be a little bit quick, and telling what do you mean by all these things. Yeah? First, general sense. What kind of general sense you are getting from this poem? The solemn and grey, the immense clouds of even pass on their towering, unperturbed way through the vast whiteness of the rain-swept heaven, the moving pageants of the waning day, heavy with dreams, desires, prognostications, brooding with sullen and titanic crests. They surge, whose mantles wise imaginations trail where earth's mute and languorous body rests, while below the hawthorns smile like milk splashed down from noon's blue pitcher over mead and hill. The erased distance is so dim with flowers, it seems itself some colored cloud made still. Oh, how the clouds this dying daylight crown with the tremendous triumph of tall towers. Yes. So, what do we mean by these lines? What sense are we getting from this poem? Any kind of emotion is also invoked, or if you are not able to understand, then also what is so problematic that you are not able to comprehend the poem, even that you can say. What is in the poem that you are not able to? Is there any word which is very difficult? You can start with that. For example, solemn and grey. Solemn and grey, what are the meanings of solemn and grey? Are you comprehending that meaning? The first meaning, let us say prosaic meaning. If first it is, are you getting prosaic meaning? Then we can move towards poetic meaning. What is solemn and grey? What are the meanings of the word solemn and grey? Immense clouds of even pass on their towering, unperturbed way. Yeah. So the very first two lines will give you one image. What kind of an image are you getting from first two lines?
Sir, and this as if some people are at the end of the day, some people are coming back to home, like clouds are going somewhere, and
Hmm.
hawthorns maybe some flower, name of
Hmm.
flower, or then it is
Hmm.
described that they might be coming back with some kind of victory, triumph, and in their
Hmm.
heart they are having dreams, desires, and some sadness also, and gray symbolize sadness. Then so in this way, people who are coming back and the clouds also who are passing, they are described in this way.
Hmm. Now, from where you get the meaning of the word people? Which word is telling you that it is about people?
The moving pageants of the
Uh,
waning day.
hmm? Pageants means what? Pageants? Yes?
That I have to search.
Okay. You can search and see. Yeah. Yes. By the time other can say anything. It is not peasants. Huh? If peasants, then you can say people. Peasants. This pageants means like procession. Huh? Motu Sargas. Motu Sargas nikarto hai, like 26th January. You have a huge pageant of different tableaus going on, or some Rath Yatra. If you see, then lots of pageants are moving. Yeah. Okay, so that is how you analyze that. Well, you say people, but how do you get the sense of the word people? Okay, you said that somebody is coming home, somebody is going. That is that also we can ask that. Yes, Niyati has said that some historical events are happening, and એમનું મોટું સરઘસ તમે કાઢ્યું હોય તો જે વસ્તુ તમે જોઈ શકો એને પેજન્ટ્સ કહી શકાય. Now, for example, if you say home also, if you say return home, then which word is telling you about home? That is what we do textual analysis. That now I intuitively feel that it is about coming home. That is my intuition. When I read a poem, it seems to be like coming home. But which word exactly is telling me that it is coming home? Yes, anybody else can try. What is that? Or the first two lines I told you, that what is the image you get? If you pick up image after image, then you can try to see what the total picture meant to you. Yes, yes, Khushbu, you can also tell that why you said home. What was that in the poem which was telling you that it is homecoming of the people? Or you got an intuition after reading these lines? Which lines gave you an intuition that it is something like a homecoming? Or what else do you see? Anybody else can try and let us know? What is the first two image in the first two lines? What kind of image are we getting?
In this first two lines, there is a image like dark clouds in dark or gray clouds in sky, I think.
Okay,
But
dark or
next
gray
line I don't
clouds.
find the meaning of.
Which word you cannot find the meaning?
Sir, waning day may suggest that it is the end of the
First
day.
line is solemn and gray, the immense cloud of even. Clouds and gray means that in the sky, gray or dark clouds there in the sky. But
Okay.
next line I don't find that meaning, which it tells.
Okay. Okay, so gray seems to say that it is about the color of the ash. Gray color, you mean to say. Here, in that way, you say it
Yes,
is
sir.
dark cloud. And gray also means dismal, dull, something that is dull, colorless. Or dismal means gloomy. Are you getting the sense? Gloomy. Yes. Gray also means gloomy. And gloomy means murkily dark. Yeah. Like it means like it's a kind of a darkness which we do not like. We do not like those kind of. It is frighteningly dark that way. Gloomily, murkily dark kind of a sense that you are getting. Solemn gray, immense large number of clouds of even means બહુ મોટા જથ્થામાં કેટલા બધા વાદળો pass on their towering unperturbed way. So you are getting an image of so many clouds in the sky. That is the image that you are getting. So many clouds there. That is how you visualize, like something like this. Something like this, the gray shades of cloud, and you can also imagine larger than this also. Larger than this. Through the vast whiteness of the rain-swept heaven, the moving pageants of the waning day. So, yes, Khushbu was telling waning day means evening time. Waning means evening time. Yes. Yes, Khushbu.
Yes, sir, waning day, and one more was there from the poem.
What was that?
Sir, you please open that page where poem is there.
But you have not taken note of that.
No, I
So
forgot.
you are not keeping pen and pencil ready with you.
I have, but I have not written.
No, but that is where I told earlier also. I was telling that when you do analysis, textual analysis, note down everything that you do. That process is very important. Process of opening the poem. It is not reaching to the final destination. It is that journey of opening the poem is more important. Yes, which word?
Dying daylight means light has ended.
Okay, dying daylight. So it means it is evening time?
Yes, sir.
Evening time. Okay, but evening time, waning day means home. Do you see home in that?
Mm, mm.
How do you see home in that? Evening time is the time to reach home. That's why, do you see that? Yes, are you getting my point?
I was saying that I thought it was peasants so who were coming back home. In that context, I saw.
But it is not, it is a wrong context, no? Then now. Now, when
Yes,
you say
yes.
it is not peasants, it is pageants, then that meaning will get broken. Is it so?
No, still it will be there somewhere, settlers.
So how will it be there? Which word will tell you that? Yes, can you get any word for that? Or anybody else? The others can also try. Okay, one image we are getting here is about immense cloud. Yeah, in this way, the moving pageants of the waning day, and it looks like it seems like these clouds have already rained down, and then they are returning home. The clouds are who has done their job, who has lived their life, and now they are returning back. That is the sense. The clouds returning back. That way we can see the image that comes here. Okay, then heavy with dream. But when they are coming, these clouds, they are personified, and they are heavy with dreams, desires, prognostications. Now, I think Bhumika was getting a problem with the word unperturbed. Yes, unperturbed. Were you having a problem
Yes,
with the
sir.
word unperturbed?
Yes, sir.
What is the meaning of that? Unworried. 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 Perturbed means worried. Perturbed means worried. Yeah, unworried way. Okay. So pass on their towering, unperturbed way. Then when they are coming, they are personified. They are heavy with dreams. Clouds are now heavy with dreams, desires, prognostications. What is the meaning of prognostications? Yes, anybody?
Statement about the prior knowledge of future.
Okay, prior knowledge about future. Yeah, some kind of sense of future. Some kind of sense of future, that is prognostication, as if you are having a kind of an indication of something to happen in future. We call it telepathy, or sometimes some kind of curious intuition that something is going to happen in future. That is prognostications. Okay, so dreams, desires, prognostications, heavy with all those things. Yeah. Brooding with sullen and titanic crest. Brooding means brooding. Brooding. What is the meaning of the word brooding?
To worry.
To worry. Yeah, to worry, you can say brooding. There is another meaning, that is deep thought. Deep thought. Yes, or something ominous also. Some kind of a silent threat or danger. Some kind of silent threat or danger. So you are in deep thought or deep anxiety. Now, worry એટલે ચિંતા ખરી, પણ આ ચિંતા થોડી એવી કે something might happen, deep thought about some kind of anxieties. That way, brooding. Brooding has those all senses. With sullen, sullen means sullen. Sullen. Yes, anybody? Sullen.
Something evil, that something bad omen or gloomy.
Okay, so the meaning is going together with some kind of gloominess, kind of a thing, some hostilely silent, showing some kind of hostility, or something like that. Sullen. બીજા અર્થમાં કેવું હોય તો જાણે મોઢું ચડી ગયું હોય તેવું, દિવેલ પીધેલું હોય તેવું મોં કરીને કોઈ ઊભું હોય. In that sense, it is not a complete but sense. And titanic crests. What is titanic crests? Titanic crests means I think you are getting the point that how difficult it is to do textual analysis and to open each and every word. Yes? You have to open each and every word to see what is the meaning, and then you have to see in totality what all these words are trying to tell us. That is textual close reading of the poem. Titanic crests. What is Titanic? What comes in your mind when you refer to Titanic?
Very huge or large.
Very huge or large, you can say. Titanic, when you keep in mind something that is huge, something that is large, that is the sense of largeness that we can see in Titanic. Yeah? And crest means crest.
Kalgi.
Kalgi, yeah, kalgi, or it can be in birds also. You have crest, or somebody who has worn a kind of a mugat, some kind of helmet, you can say, of warrior's helmet, yeah, warrior's helmet, and then you have a crest over that. If you see Sikandar, then you will see a crest over the helmet. That is Titanic crest. Okay. So that is a kind of an image that we get of these clouds coming, heavy with dreams, desires, prognostications, brooding with sullen and Titanic crest. They surge, and then whose mantles, wise imaginations, trail where earth's mute and languorous body rest. Now this will be again very difficult to open. This image will be, I think, very tough to open. Whose હવે એ વાદળો જે મહાકાય, now you can get an idea કે this is like if you want to put an image, then it's like Bhishma Pitama, the old Bhishma Pitama. ખૂબ જ મોટી દાઢી હોય, સફેદ દાઢી હોય, લાંબા વાળ હોય, and then as if that way the clouds are moving. એ રીતે clouds વહી રહ્યા છે અને brooding કરે છે, prognostication કરે છે. They are heavy with dreams and desires. So you get an image of very old kind of things, something that is old, and it is moving. હવે તેમનું mental, whose mental? Mental means mental.
Earth's lower inner part.
Yes, again, please repeat.
Earth's lower inner part.
No, mental. Mental. What is the meaning of mentals? Mental. Whose mentals? Mental means Earth's lower part. You say
Inner part, which is in liquid form.
which is in liquid. Is that the sense here? Is that the meaning you are getting here? There are many meanings you will find of mental. So, are you think that that is central part of Earth is the meaning appropriate here? Because there is the word Earth coming. So, are you drawn to conclude that that is the meaning of this part? Because there is the word Earth. Is that directing your attention towards that idea? That it must be the central part of Earth.
In context of Earth, Earth's mute.
So if you say in context of Earth, you are trying to see that. Now see, still the other context, there is a word like trail. Trail. Can that give you any other sense in a larger picture? It is whose mentals wise imagination.
No, I don't think it is appropriate.
Yeah, because
here.
Yeah, okay. Yes, mental is again personified, and it is said whose mentals wise imaginations.
The meaning of
Yeah.
mental.
Yeah. So, which meaning you find appropriate? In mental, you will find so many meanings for mental. But this is not this mental. Pagal hoye ne apne mental case chhe. It is not that mental. Spelling is different. Mental. Mental. Any idea? Are you getting what is that?
Sir, mental cover.
Cover.
Cover something.
To cover something. Yeah. Cover something means like, for example, if I say that I cover my car cover, is that mental? Or you cover with hand something?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Cover with hand is mental?
Sir, it is it is a piece of cloth worn by the Orthodox bishops. So, whose is that person here? It is personified. So that person's wise imagination means that person who has worn that clothing.
Okay, mental in clothing. You see, mental in clothing means a large robe, kind of thing which is જે પાછળ ઢસડા તો આવતો હોય એક એવું મોટું કાપડ કોઈ પુરુષ કે સ્ત્રીએ પહેર્યું હોય કે જે પાછળ ટ્રેલ થતું આવતું હોય છે એ mental, that is wearing cloak, CLOAK, cloak which you wear, અને મોટો જબ્બા જેવું તમે કહી શકો, અને જેનો પાછલો ભાગ નીચે જમીનમાં ઘસાતો આવતો હોય. That is called mental. Are you getting the image? Are you visualizing the image? That is very important. You have to visualize the image to see that. So these are large clouds, and clouds એ રીતે જઈ રહ્યા છે કે એમ લાગે કે એમનો જબ્બો છે એ પાછળ ઢસડાતો જાય છે. If you see far off, then the land and the cloud and the sky meet together. When you see far off, તો નીચેથી જોતા હો તો ઉપર કેટલા બધા વાદળા જતા હોય તો પાછળ એમના કપડા હોય એ જાણે જમીન ઉપર ઢસડાતા જાય છે. That image is what it comes. Now that mental, એ જે કપડું છે જે પહેરેલું છે વાદળોએ, એને પછી wise imaginations છે. Imagination તો ખરી, પણ પછી wise ડહાપણ સાથેની કલ્પનાઓ પણ એમને છે. Has got wise imaginations. And the trail, wise imaginations, એ ટ્રેલ કરે છે, એ કલ્પનાઓ, વાઇઝ ઇમેજિનેશન્સ ટ્રેલ વેર, ક્યાં જાય છે ટ્રેલ થતી થતી? Earth's mute and languorous body rests. Earth's mute and languorous body rests. ત્યાં એ જઈ રહી છે. Earth's mute and languorous body rests. So what do you get here? What image do you get? What sense are you getting? A વાદળોયેલા પહેરેલા mental નઈ wise imaginations ક્યાં જઈ રહી છે? Earth's languorous body, mute, Earth's mute languorous body rest, ત્યાં સુધી એ લાંબી થઈ રહી છે. What is this? Earth's mute languorous. Languorous means, what is the meaning of word languorous?
Lacking energy, liveliness, spirit. Distract. Mute means silent.
Okay, languorous means, you say, without energy, yeah? Sluggish, moving very slowly, tired, listless, indifferent, languorous.
Distracted.
Yes? Yes? Lata? Yeah.
Sir, distracted or confused.
Okay, that also is the meaning, but is that appropriate here? Because it comes with body. Body rests. એ સાથે એટલે એક એનર્જી વગરનું થાકેલું શરીર, એનર્જી વગરનું થાકેલું શરીર. Earth's mute and languorous body rest. પૃથ્વીનું શાંત, મ્યુટ, શાંત અને થાકેલું languorous body રેસ્ટ કરી રહ્યું છે. ત્યાં સુધી એની મેન્ટલ્સની વાઇઝ ઇમેજિનેશન્સ ટ્રેલ થઈ રહી છે. So if you want to see what is this Earth's mute and languorous body rest કરે જગ્યા કેવી, so you can say it is a kind of graveyard, a kind of graveyard. That is what you can visualize. It is like talking about where the tired body is at rest. There is ultimately the body at rest. It is in graveyard. Okay? This. So first part of the poem ends here. Now there is another part of the poem. And when you see this, both the part of the poem, you find that there is a change in the angle also, angle of looking. Or for example, if you use the language of film studies, if you want to use the language of film studies, then you can say that up till now this poem, the camera was focusing down on the earth and was looking upward. Camera was down and was looking upward. Now camera is at the top and looking downward. Now the camera angle is changing, and now there is a way of looking from upward to downward. That is the shift you see in the second. So the way you are looking is changing. So what is the word that you get here? While below. પહેલું શું હતું? above શું થઈ રહ્યું છે? હવે એ સમયે નીચે શું થઈ રહ્યું છે? While below એટલે અચાનક કેમેરો ઉપર ચાલ્યો ગયો છે ને ઉપરથી એ નીચે બતાવે છે. While below, what is happening? The hawthorns smile. Hawthorns smile like, પછી simile છે, smile તો કરે, પણ કોના જેવું? તો કે milk splashed down. હવે દૂધ ઢોળાઈ ગયું હોય તો સ્માઇલ કોણ કરે? દૂધ ઢોળાઈ જાય તો એ તો અપશુકનિયાર કહેવાય. But here milk splashed down, એ રીતે smile કરે છે. Like milk splashed down. Yeah? While below hawthorns. And hawthorns means, what is the meaning of hawthorns?
Sir, it is one type of tree like a rose tree.
Okay, so you can see here the image. Yeah? Hawthorns are shrubs. આપણે જેને જાડી ઝાંખરા જે કહીએ ને, shrubs. It is a shrub full of white flowers. Give the impression of splashed milk over meadows and hill when seen from up above the sky. That is from clouds perspective. આ રીતે meadows, green color na meadows માં hawthorns જે હોય, shrubs, એના full white color na હોય, white flowers. And when you see from the above, તો એમ લાગે કે green color માં white color નું દૂધ જાણે કોઈ ઢોળી નાખ્યું હોય, એ રીતે splash થયેલું milk દેખાય છે. This way. So now again see hawthorn. Hawthorn is something which is rarely found in our surrounding. એટલે આપણા વિઝ્યુલાઇઝેશનમાં ઝડપથી આવે નહીં. હોથોર્ન, આપણે નેથેનિયલ હોથોર્ન પણ યાદ આવી જાય જો એની નવલકથા ભણતા હોય. નેથેનિયલ હોથોર્ન, તો હોથોર્ન તો સરનેમ છે. હોથોર્ન ઇઝ અ સરનેમ. So we may remember somebody. Capital H પાછું લખ્યું હોય પોયમમાં, તો આપણને લાગે it is somebody. In that way we can read. So when you go to Google image, તો એ તમને એક તસવીર આપે કે this is shrub. Shrub છે, tree પણ નથી. It is not also tree. It is shrubs and they have white flower and it may look like this when you see from that angle. Okay? So this is again the visualization. It says like it is milk is placed down, and then there is another line which tells that milk is placed down from noon's blue pitcher over mead and hill. From noon's blue pitcher over mead and hill. Yeah? Now, so this again, this noon can give us an idea that this is evening time, noon time. So noon may take us to an idea that it is noon or afternoon, and it is personified like earth's mute. Earlier we have seen mentals, wise, these are all personification. So noon also is personified, and it seems like a blue pitcher. Pitcher means pitcher. Anybody is getting the meaning of the word pitcher?
Pot.
A pot. Okay, pot. Kunj, kunjo, kunjo, kunj. Kunjo je hoy te pitcher. એટલે એક એવી ઇમેજ થોડી એવી આવે કે કોઈ પનિહારી એ કુંજો પોતાની કાંખમાં લઈને પાણી ભરવા જતી હોય કે ભરીને આવતી હોય, એ પ્રકારે. Noon's blue pitcher. That way, that image also we can slightly visualize. Noon's blue pitcher over mead and hill. But still this was not getting clear, this noon's blue pitcher. So when I was looking to open this poem, I was looking at the image search and I found this image. Painting was blue pitcher. This is blue pitcher, and the flowers are splashed out also here. And then I found that this is a painting done by Susan Noon. Susan Noon, and Noon is last name. Noon is surname. Like Hawthorne seems to be surname, but it was not surname. It was shrub. Noon seems to be noon time of the day, but it was not time of the day. It was surname of somebody whose painting is referred here. Susan Noon, and Temnu blue pitcher, and then there is this reference that the flowers are splashed out. So that is how is connecting. The milk is splashed out, flowers splashed out from this. And this was the most difficult part in this poem to open. This was the most difficult part in this poem to open, that what is this Noon's blue pitcher? Noon's blue pitcher. That was a reference to a painting. It was a reference to the painting. And initially it just seems that it is just about noon time or afternoon. It is very difficult to find that this Noon is somebody, some painter. And there is a reference to a painting given here. Without Google image, it is not possible to reach here to open this poem. To open this poem, how difficult. So what I'm telling here is that what difficulties we face when we try to do textual analysis. And when you want to read each and every meaning, you don't want to intuitively read a poem. You don't want to read intuitively, but you want to open each and every word, all possible meanings of the word. And then you want to say not this meaning, not that meaning, neti, neti. You keep on doing not this, not this. And then you say this, then you say this. But what is that process of doing this is something very interesting. So in this entire poem, the most difficult was this to understand here in this poem. Noon's blue pitcher, middle. The erased distance is so dim. Erased. What is the meaning of erased? Erased. Yes, anybody? The erased distance is so dim with flowers, is so dim with flowers. Yes, anybody? Arrest distance is so dim with flowers. Yes.
A tapestry or wall hanging.
Yes, repeat again.
A tapestry.
Okay,
That is
tapestry,
invisible on wall. Yeah.
wall hanging, yeah, wall hanging or hanging screen or something like that. So it seems to say now that it's a kind of a nature poem. એટલે કોઈ વ્યક્તિ બહુ એક લેન્ડસ્કેપ જોઈ રહ્યું છે, લેન્ડસ્કેપ, અને જે વાદળો ડિસ્ટન્સ પસાર કરીને આવ્યા છે એ ડિસ્ટન્સ પાછળ તરફ એ જુએ છે. Arrest distance is so dim with flowers. This is again a very curious metaphor. Dim with flower. Normally flowers are bright. So this idea also is little bit tough to understand. Dim with flowers. It seems itself some colored cloud made still. So it seems like this is a kind of a wall hanging tapestry. It seems like a wall hanging tapestry. આખું દ્રશ્ય મોટા વાદળો જઈ રહ્યા હોય, એમનો છેડો ભાગ છેક દૂર સુધી અર્થમાં ક્યાંક સમાતો હોય એવું એક મોટું દ્રશ્ય ઊભું થાય છે. અને it seems itself some colored cloud made still. એક ચિત્ર બનાવ્યું હોય એવું લાગે. Oh, how the clouds this dying daylight crown. Oh, how the clouds this dying daylight crown. આ સાંજનો સમય, dying daylight, evening time, એને કેવું સરસ મજાનું ક્રાઉન પહેરાયું હોય, એક રોશની આપી હોય તેવું આ ક્લાઉડ થકી લાગી રહ્યું છે. કેવું સરસ મજાનું દ્રશ્ય આ વાદળોએ ડાઇંગ ડે લાઇટ ના સમયમાં સર્જ્યું છે. With the tremendous triumph of tall towers, with the tremendous triumph of this tall towers, this clouds, as if they are coming from some great victory, with the crest, Titanic crest, and they are moving, and it gives a beautiful scene here. So now when you see in totality, you find that this is a visual picture of an evening time, and this evening time is a rain swept evening time. So the clouds have rained down, and then you are seeing the clouds moving back, and it's a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful picture that you see, wherein the poet is very euphoric looking at the beautiful scene, very euphoric. His spontaneity is sometimes going out of his control, is going out of his euphoria. His emotions are going out of his control. So he's personifying many things. He's personifying all those things and is trying to say that this creates a beautiful image. So one last image that you get is, it's a beautiful picture as if it is a wall hanging piece of the clouds that are moving. That is the picture that is describing there. But there is lots of use of figurative language here. There is lots of use of figurative language in this part. And so I.A. Richards, when this poem is given to the students are raising several kinds of problems to this poem. Several questions they are raising to this, that and then he writes, he describes that one of the serious causes of misunderstanding is the failure to realize that the poetic use of words is different from their use in prose. That is what he says. Literal sense of words can be easily understood with the help of a dictionary, but an inability to seize the poetical sense of words is not so easily remedied. Yeah? So most of the time, what problem you faced while doing this was the problem about dictionary meaning. So you have to refer to dictionary time and again. The dictionary problem can be sorted out. But if you have a problem about not understanding poetic use, then there is no remedy. There is no, એનો કોઈ ઇલાજ નથી. તો પછી એનો ઇલાજ નથી હોતો. શબ્દો ન ખબર હોય તો ડિક્શનરી મદદ કરે, ગૂગલ ઇમેજ મદદ કરે, આપણે સમજી શકીએ. પણ એનો પોએટિક યુઝ ક્યાં થાય છે, પ્રોઝિક એ ન ખ્યાલ આવે તો કયા પ્રકારના પ્રશ્નો ઊભા થાય. So he writes there that critics, that is the students who are reading this poem, they found following problems with this poem. They found following problems with this poem. And these problems, let me share a screen. Let me share the screen. What are these problems? So he said that the questions which are raised were like this: a cloud cannot have desires. A cloud cannot have desires. A mantle cannot have imagination. Mantle is a cloth. Yeah? Mantle is a cloth. Cannot have imaginations. Imaginations cannot trail. Imagination is not having legs or wings that they can fly, yeah? Or they can walk. So they cannot trail. Milk does not smile. Yeah? Milk does not smile. Dim with flowers is rather weak, for flowers are bright things. Yeah? Tall towers do not triumph. Towers are still, they can't move. Even trees can't move. Even trees cannot move. Towers also cannot move, so they can't triumph. So far as human sense can comprehend, might be an interesting sight to see if towers are walking and they are moving on there. So these are some of the problems which are raised by doing over literal reading or reading the poetic language in a prosaic manner. Were you having the same questions when you were reading the poem? Were you having? I think you won't have that problem because you know that you are in a literature classroom. And so you already take it as granted that in poetry or literature, many things are personified. There is lots of use of figures of speech. There is lots of vakrokti going on around there, that you are almost ready for that. So for a literature student to raise this kind of question is very difficult. So for us, what we have to understand is that we have to try to read literature as a student of science or engineering. We have to see that if I am a student of science or engineering, I don't know anything about literature, then what I will question? I will question that, well, the milk cannot smile. A mantle is a cloth. How can mantle have imaginations? How can imaginations trail? These all are the questions which I am supposed to ask myself to problematize the issue. If I will not be able to problematize, I will not be able to find solution. એટલે પેટમાં ન દુખતું હોય તો દુઃખ ઊભું કરવાનું પહેલા. પેટમાં પહેલા પેટ ચોળીને દુઃખ ઊભું કરવાનું, પછી એની દવા કરવાની, પછી એનો ઇલાજ કરવાનો. That is how we can understand the language. That, well, okay, that also is the language. Sometimes the students of literature have forgotten that the language can be used scientifically also. They know that there is emotive use of language, but they forget that language should be used scientifically also. Then the difference comes. The other people, outside people, that is outside the literature classroom, they know that language should be used to communicate for communications, but they don't know that language can be used emotively for all this purpose also. So that is the example that he gives. This complaints, he writes, rest upon an assumptions that language that would be fatal to poetry. So if you raise this kind of question, then the poetry will die. All these things may happen in a poem if there is any good reason for their happening or any advantage is gained from their happening. Not many metaphors, or for that matter, much poetry will survive such deadly demands for scientific precision. Poetic use of words is different from their use in prose, and such literalism is the most serious obstacle in the way of a right understanding of such poetic use of words. How are we to explain, Richards is asking, to those who see nothing in poetic language but a tissue of ridiculous exaggerations, childish fancies, ignorant conceits, and absurd symbolizations? In what way its sense is to be read? A very difficult question that comes to us. Poetry is different from prose and needs a different attitude for right understanding. This is what we have to deal when we deal with the poetic language. So that is first, in the first poem, he is dealing with this idea that when you do over literal and prosaic reading, you may find all these obstacles or problems. And then this. Later on, you can question that, are these metaphors okay? What you are saying, does it give you a visualization of proper image? Are metaphors mixed so much that you are not able to imagine anything? These are secondary questions. But primarily, first one is that what is the over literal reading and questioning of a poetic language? What you are not supposed to do, that is what is done here. What you are not supposed to do, that is what he is analyzing and trying to say that this is over literal reading. This is scientific reading of the poetry. And it is very tough if anybody is raising this kind of questions to explain them that, well, you are not supposed to do this. And how to explain is very tough. If somebody is asking, why am I not supposed to do this? Then you will say that, well, it is very difficult to have answer for that. Only thing is that the language in poetry is different. Only thing is that in poetry, that freedom is given to poet. Poet can imagine all these kinds of stupidities, if you want to call it stupidities. If you want to call it that wild symbolism, then you can do that. But there is something like personification. There is something like personification, which is figures of speech. And so you personify. Personification means you give human tendencies to inanimate objects. Inanimate objects. જે વસ્તુ જીવંત નથી, એમને તમે જીવંત મનુષ્ય જે રીતે વિચારે, બોલે, ફિલિંગ મહેસૂસ કરે, એ બધું તમે એને આપો છો. તો કોઈ પણ કે એવું તો હોય નહીં, પણ તો ના, ખરેખર ન હોય. સાચી વાત તમારી કે ન હોય, પણ પોએટ્રીમાં હોય. એ આમ ન હોય, પણ એ પોએટ્રીમાં એવું હોય. Somebody will say, then you are telling lies. Then you say, yes, we are telling lies. We deal with lies because we are in search of deeper truths. Because we are in search of deeper truths, so we have to deal with lies. In that way, રીતે વાત સાચી કે mental કપડું હોય તો એને કલ્પના ન હોય, એ અમે ખોટું બોલ્યા. કવિઓ ખોટું બોલે છે. So Plato can say that poets are liars. Poets are liars. They should be thrown out of the country. They always speak lies. So we say, yes, these are the lies, but these lies are in search of deeper truths of language. We develop a better understanding of language by doing all these things also there. So that is one concern. Before we end, today we are having a different problem with this. This is 100 years back he was telling that the problem of reading, over reading the thing. Today what problem is that normally the people are saying that if it is written in poetry, it is true. If it is written in poetry, it is true. If it is written that milk can smile, so milk can smile. Now, if you say, no, milk cannot smile, it is just personification, so they are not ready to agree. They are not ready to agree. They can nahi, લખ્યું છે એટલે સાચું હોય તો જ લખ્યું હોય. નહીં તો શું કામ લખ્યું હોય કે? And this happens in old literatures. જૂના સાહિત્યમાં લખ્યું છે કે the head of the person was replaced with elephant. So it was replaced. Now they are not ready to agree with the point that there are metaphors. There are personification. People say that, well, somebody can fly. So now people say, yes, he can fly. Now, if you say that, well, flying can be a metaphor. If somebody is running very fast, you can tell that પેલો માણસ દોડે છે તો ઉડતું હોય તેવું લાગે છે. આપણે એમ શબ્દ ઉપયોગ કરીએ કે પેલો તો ઉડતો જાય છે, એ દોડતો હોય, ઉડતો ન હોય. એ દોડતો હોય પણ એની સ્પીડ બહુ ફાસ્ટ હોય એટલે આપણે કઈ ઉડતું, પછી દોડતું પડી જાય અને ઉડતું ઉડતું જ રહે. પછી ચિત્ર બને તો કોઈ ઉડતું જતું હોય, સિરિયલ આવે તો સિરિયલમાં ઉડતા જ જતા હોય. And then you tell people that, well, flying might be a metaphor. He might be a very fast runner or a very fast runner. કોઈ તરતું દરિયો આખો તરી નાખે બહુ ઝડપથી. તો એમ દૂરથી તમે જો તો જાણે ઉડતું જાય છે પક્ષીની જેમ, એમ લાગે એટલી સ્પીડમાં તરે છે. But then the word, now people say, no, he is flying. He can fly only. If your Superman can fly, our Hanuman can also fly. If Superman can fly, but Superman can fly because there is some scientific connection. They are giving the story about aliens. They are giving scientific logic. Some kind of scientific superstitions are there. We believe that it is a sci-fi. It is a sci-fi where you say that because of that they are. Here, what is the logic? Here, the logic is only the problem of language. Only the problem of, it is the problem of language that people tend to see or tend to look in that way also. Somebody living with us, બહુ સારું કામ કરે, આપણી સાથે રહેતા હોય અને આપણે એમ કહીએ કે ઓ બિચારો ભગવાન જેવો માણસ છે. અને આપણે લખ્યું પણ હોય ભગવાન જેવો માણસ છે. પછી તામ્રપત્રમાં એ ક્યાંક સંતાઈ જાય ને 2-4 હજાર વર્ષ સુનામીમાં બહાર આવે અને પછી કે એ તો ભગવાન જ હતો. તો we can say, well, નહીં, એ ભગવાન જેવો એટલે ભગવાન નહોતો, એ અવતાર નહોતો, માણસ હતો. But now today to tell the people that this, they will say no, our sentiments are hurt. So we live in a time where we have to tell people that the language has metaphors, language has poetic use, and when it is myth, it is a story. If it is an epic poem, it is a literature, and literature always makes use of poetical use of language. It never makes use of scientific use of language. That is another problem that we face in today's world, that also we have to deal when we deal with the poetical or scientific problem of reading the literature also. Okay, any other questions or observations would you like to give here? We end our session otherwise with that. If any questions.
Sir.
Yes.
If we have not this Google service today, then we can find this proper meaning of this poetry.
Very difficult to find. We require lots of notes. We'll have to ask people. You have to write letters to people living in England that what is the meaning of this. That is what people were doing earlier. They were trying to contact the people if they were very genuinely interested in reading the literature. Like, for example, what people do in Gujarat when they study Gujarati literature. So if you say that, well, you are studying Dhruv Bhatt's poem Akupar, so you will take your students, or if you are a scholar, then you will go and visit Gir forest. You will visit, if you are reading Samudrantike, you will try to visit the people who are living at the coast of the sea in Gujarat. You can do that. You can visit the people and you can sense the meaning. And then you can say, well, okay, problem in reading, but I went there and I solved the problem. So it is easy to do. But when it is remotely located literature, very remotely located, where you can't go so readily. So in the past, people who are genuinely interested in reading or doing new criticism, they would write letters to the people there. They would write letters and they will wait for the letters to come, try to do exchange of communications in one or the another ways. And those who were not doing that, they were not teaching properly. They were not teaching properly. They were not studying properly. They were not reading literature properly. They just take intuitive meaning only. They were just taking intuitive meaning. Those who were not doing. So new criticism as a practice is a very good practice, but very difficult when you deal with foreign literature. And I always doubt that when this technology was not there, the teachers were not taking students so deeply into the study of language. They were not able to do. There were limitations were there. They were not able to tell people or make them visualize everything. Today we have cinema. Today we can easily make use of Netflix, even if it is online. Then also through Netflix or the thing, we can watch films and we can do those things. Without cinema, it is again impossible to understand lot many things in literature. Lot many things we cannot understand. Normally, when it is foreign literature, remote literature, then without cinema, it is very tough to visualize all those things there. That is why I would believe that for English teachers and English students who are dealing with this remote literature, technology is a blessing. The way today we teach literature and the way you learn literature, in past 10-20 years back, nobody was doing such a kind of an extensive reading or learning of literature. It was not possible. It was not. એટલે એ સમયના ટીચરો તો બહુ ઉપર છલ્લું જ ભણાવી દેતા હતા, ઉપર છલ્લું જ. અથવા કોઈ રેફરન્સ દ્વારા ખબર હોય, કોઈ બીજા પિક્ચર ડિક્શનરી હોય તો એ બતાવી શકે. There were picture dictionaries were there, picture dictionaries. So you can show some of the pictures and you can do that. But again, you can't find the images of so many things that we have done in the Westland. Imagine Westland, Hyacinth, Isolde and Tristan, Apollo, Hyacinth myth. How can you understand all those things if there is no this technology? So for us, it is blessing. And anybody who says that technology should not be used in literature classroom, perhaps they don't understand the power of technology. I just say that you don't know what is the power of technology. And without this, your understanding of literature is very minimum, very minimum. You are not going deep into the, you can say, deep waters of literature. You cannot go. You just remain at the shallow water. Kaathe kaathe chhab chhabiya kari lo to chale. ઊંડા પાણીમાં તમે જાઓ તો તમારે આની જરૂર પડે. You have to extensively do that. So in past, you can conclude that people might not be doing very extensive reading, unless some teachers were having communications with people living in England, unless that communications were there, and if they were interested in doing those things, then it is fine. Otherwise, very tough, very difficult to do that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, fine. So then we end our session here. The next poem is in the syllabus. Next poem that we will discuss tomorrow, that is Health or Ringing Health. This poem, Health or Ringing Health. So go through that poem and the discussion. So very quickly, we can do the analysis of that. And yeah, that is the one important poem. And then there is one is poem 3 is Climb Cloud. Third poem is Climb Cloud. Very quickly, you can read that poem. Also, a few other poems I will share with you. Few other poems I will share, that is in Gujarati and Hindi, which also we will discuss in our next class. But these two poems, poem 2 and 3, read from the material. Are you able to see where the poems are? Are you aware about the location of what I am telling you? It will be in the teacher's note on the blog. On the blog, there is teacher's resource. If you click on that, you will find all these poems. And the analysis also. Analysis also you will find there. So read both the poems. So very quickly you can give me answers, and we can come down to study some of the Gujarati, Hindi poems also. Okay, we end our session here.